And today I want to talk more in depth about the act as if technique, or what I like to call the Bobby Boucher exercise. So basically, if you haven't seen The Water Boy, it's a great movie with Adam Sandler. I highly recommend you watch it. But basically, you visualize yourself, or rather, you visualize the person who you want to become like, or like somebody that like you admire. You visualize them as yourself. So I'll try to explain it with a better example. So I like to use this phrase, the Hermione state. So w- so whenever I have some project I have to do, and like I'm procrastinating, and like I just don't feel like working, or like being productive, I'll try to get myself into the state of mind, because I believe that our state of mind is the most important predictor of success. Like all of what we are, who we are, is determined by our state of mind. And basically, as I say, heaven is not a place, heaven is a state of mind, because your life can change. You can become rich with $1 million. You could you could win the lottery. You could go on vacation. But if your state of mind is not changed, you can even enter the gates of heaven. And if your mindset is not changed, if your state is still low, it's it'll be hard to find peace, because peace, as I see it, is not something you search for, but something that is within you. It's all about just bringing it out and just to accept yourself and your situation, and then peace will be there. Like peace is always there. It's all about just realizing that it's there sometimes, and just to be with yourself and accept yourself. But I like to get back to the Bobby Boucher experiment. So for instance, like if I'm struggling with productivity, or if I'm having self-confidence issues or something like that, I might put myself into the Hermione state of just thinking of myself as Hermione Granger. Like, what would Hermione Granger do? And then I would go do it. Or what would Rocky Balboa do? And I would see them in my situation in life, and I would visualize how would they respond to these challenges that I'm facing, and then how can I then take action on that. So I think this is a very important in life, because imagination, I think, is the gateway to our souls and to life itself. Because imagination is the essence of memory, it's the essence of everything you see. This right here, this camera, this YouTube, this phone, everything you see, the pictures behind me, the room I'm in, it all began within imagination. Imagination is the creator of everything. In fact, if you want to go deep, this whole world was probably created in God's mind. You know, this it all started within God's imagination, or the imagination of nature, whatever you want to call it. But imagination, if we can imagine things, if we can imagine situations, this also ties into my episode about the power of framing. So check that out. So imagination, we can frame things in a different way by imagining it. So for instance, if you have someone at work who is just really being mean to you, or if you have some situation that like you might feel to be stressful, or somebody you're trying to impress, you can visualize that person or that situation as something that will make you laugh, that will make you more confident. So here's a good example. I had some interviews last week, and what I did was I visualized my interviews. I visualized them as Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck, and that helped me to be more playful, to be more of my authentic self, because a lot of times we have these masks that we're always wearing in life, that like we're trying to impress people. We have these social masks, and that like we're wearing these masks throughout our entire day. And then once our day is done, we finally take the mask off and we're sweating all underneath it. And and that mask is then going to be used this next day and the day after that. And eventually you just get tired of wearing the mask. And that mask is our social self. It is the self who we want others to see us as. And our authentic self and social self, when they are in conflict, that can create challenges for us. It's also known as the id and the superego in Freud's terms, and that to have balance, that's our ego, and we want that balance, because if we're too far on one side or the other, it'll go out of whack, and that can lead to more suffering and challenge. So use this technique, act as if. It's very important. You can get into the Winnie the Pooh state. Like sometimes it's good to do nothing, because as Pooh says, he says, sometimes doing nothing very often leads to the very best of something. Sometimes we're working too hard, and that we need to give ourselves a break, just to give ourselves time to be with our friends and family, to focus on what is really important in our lives. Because when we die, it's not going to be about how much money we made. It's not going to be about the status I earned. It's not about any of that. It's about what fulfilled you, how did you impact others, and how did you enjoy life? How did you treat yourself? That's also another thing that's also another thing that like you could do, is to treat yourself every day. Like have goals and have treats just for you trying to do it. I call it the bronze medal rewards, and then I have the gold medal rewards, where if I meet my goal, I get to go on vacation. If I don't, I get to go get ice cream. But, there's different ways of going about it. And I think it's all about just finding what suits for you. Do, do the act as if it suits you, but just remember, contemplate what is really important in life, and just realize that life is precious. Life is so sacred in a way, from this perspective, because our time is limited, and that limited time just puts everything in perspective and makes it more valuable and meaningful. Because I can probably tell you this: if life just went on forever and ever and ever, if you were in this particular human body as Austin, if you were in this body for all of your life, for all eternity, I mean, it would kind of get boring after you've seen and experienced life and are probably around the same people, maybe. Um, but I think that's also good that that like we have our time, because then we can share it with others, impact the world, and you know, if there is reincarnation, we get to experience other life forms, and we get to experience all different perspectives. So sorry, that was a little tangent there, but I think it's important just to figure out what's meaningful in our lives and what we can do. And then if we ever have struggles in our lives, just think about just think about your heroes. Maybe it's yourself. I mean, that's kind of what I strive to be, is just to be my own hero. But sometimes we need help, and our heroes are kind of like our spirit guides that we can always summon them with our imagination. And our imagination is so powerful, so so underrated. And school, that's my problem with school, is that they don't really help us harness our intuition and imagination. You know, we've been through the system. It's all about following standard rules, which is valuable, but our creative sides, our right brains, I feel like are neglected. So yeah, take that, just try to get into that Hermione state if you can, and also balance that with the poo state, and find your own path. And I'm sure that you will. You are walking through this woods, and you get to choose exactly where you want to go. And sometimes your ultimate goal is not straight ahead. Sometimes you might see your destination as straight ahead, but sometimes it's good to follow your intuition. Maybe take a left or take a right, and just know that life is a journey, and that it's not about where you go or end up. It's about how you are along the ways. Are you enjoying life right now? As this movie I watched on Disney Plus, it's called Soul. So good. Just enjoy every minute of it. Realize your spark. Your spark is here and now. Enjoy life.